What's up, everybody? Guess what? We're live, and we're both here today. The brothers.
I know, I'm here today.
Now look at Ann, and it turns out, Ann, did you know why you didn't have phone service?
I heard that what is it? T-Mobile done peed in their chili, and there were outages all over the country. So
Yes,
there you go. They didn't say why. They weren't commenting on why, but they had their technicians working on it. So when we got up this morning, our phones were better. But I was like, oh, for God's sake! And then I got my bill today. I was like, you should give me money back.
Yeah, I know. You cost us stuff, dummies. Well, it's so funny because I have one of my friends on Facebook, Anthony. I'm going to put you out there, man. Anthony is a former student of mine, and he's I would say Anthony's got some ideas that are I enjoy reading his posts very much. But he basically was saying it was this is when the technology goes down, then the invasion happens. So then I started thinking like, what was that one movie with Will Smith that the aliens come down?
Oh yeah,
Independence Day. Independence Day. I know.
Yeah, that was. Oh my God, that's so terrible.
Disrupting our communications. It's time for the invasion. Yes.
I know. I was thinking that too. I was like, what's going to happen when this all goes down forever? We're going to murder each other.
Exactly. So, Anthony, I thought your post was amazing. So well done. Lori Worrell says, hi. Lori Worrell, what's up, lady? How are you? So before we came on air, Anna and I got to talking about buffets, and we were talking about the idea of what happens to buffets now that COVID-19 is doing its thing and so forth and so on. And that got us talking about other places like the Melting Pot, the fondue place. And then that totally triggered me because I hate the Melting Pot more than almost any restaurant ever. Because they make you cook your own food, which just ticks me off. And for as much money as you pay for that, sorry, I'm ranting again. The veins popping out. I'm ranting. Sorry. It's a dumb thing to be triggered about, but whatever it is. Because then we were talking about Mongolian barbecue in Ann Arbor, and that place is probably not going to open back up. And maybe it's time. Because Mongolian barbecue, again, same thing. We're going to make you put all of your own food together, and then we'll cook it from you, and then you're going to drag it back to your own table.
Yeah, and then the waiter's like, hey, can I get you anything? I'm like, yeah, dinner.
I know, right? So anyway, just to follow up from yesterday, I did the best I could talking about your peach ansplaining yesterday. If you happen to watch the post, don't worry about it. Hopefully I explained it well enough because I added your video to it, and though we couldn't hear your video, we could see it, and then I sort of explained your video after that. So hopefully that went okay.
So. It seemed to. I watched it, and I was like, well, maybe I don't have to do this anymore. I can just send, some sad video that Duncan films on his phone to you.
And then I'll explain it.
That's what I do. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, but that was yesterday. Today's today. The technology works. It's Tuesday, which means it's 10 Question Tuesday. So there you go. Yeah. So thoughts on today? If you're in the Wisconsin area, it's a little warm today. It's feeling like summer. It's fine. Yeah. Hey, should we do 10 questions?
Let's do 10 questions. You start.
Okay. So, all right. 10 questions. I got to bring up my banners. Wait for it. Here we go. Questions for me for the 16th.
For you, Jenny.
All right. Question number 1. You wanted to know what?
I wanted to know what your 5 top movies are. And then I'd also want anybody that's watching to let us know what your top 5 movies are.
It's a great idea. I like that. So yes. All right. My top 5 movies. Now this took me forever to answer because I had to think about all of the movies I have ever seen. But then I started thinking about what are the movies that I stop everything I'm doing when these movies come on, or I scroll across it on Netflix. I'm like, I should watch this. All right. So number 1 is Shawshank Redemption, because that is a movie that, again, whatever I'm doing, I stop and watch that movie. And I really liked the Stephen King novella From Which It Came, and they did a great job with that particular adaptation, which is unusual, especially for anything by Stephen King. So there you go. Yeah. Number 2, V for Vendetta.
Really?
I really like that movie, and I think it's really relevant because, especially now when I feel like our government is failing the people so badly, and I feel like that is genuinely important, and that is a message that comes through a lot in that movie, is that the idea that your government should work for the people, not opposite. And that hasn't happened in this country for a very long time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So number 3, Stranger Than Fiction, which is, I just think, a really clever, really fun, uplifting movie. It's well written, it's well cast, so well acted, especially Emma Thompson and Dustin Hoffman in that movie. And of course, Will Ferrell gives, I think, his best performance in. All right, number 4, the movie Hot Fuzz. So if you're familiar with the Cornetto trilogy, these are the same guys that made the movie Shaun of the Dead. It's a group of Englishmen. And I just, as far as I do like a good action movie. And what's great about this particular movie is that it takes all of those action movies and just turns them on their head in a really funny, really clever way. It's very English, which I love as well. Mm-hmm. And so Hot Fuzz. And number 5 is A League of Their Own, because my list would never be complete without a sports movie, because I love sports a bazillion. And that movie had one of the more profound effects. A, because it's women playing baseball, which is a big deal to me. And B, it's about sisterhood, which is a big deal to me. So those are my top 5 movies. Boom!
Well, now I'm going to have to go back and watch V for Vendetta, because I've only seen that movie one time. And it's been a long time, and I keep seeing it on Netflix. You can download it on Netflix. I'm like, I'm going to have to watch that movie.
Okay. Natalie Portman's not great in it. She's, I would have preferred they cast an English woman in that role, because her English accent is not awesome. But, like I said, the message in that movie is, I think it's profound, and I think it's even more important now than ever, especially with our current thing. So anyway, Heidi Gushwa loves the movie Forrest Gump. I would agree. That's a great movie. That one makes me cry.
That one makes me cry. And it's really they usually have it on during big family holidays. And so sometimes when I'm at the Williamses and everybody's watching football, I'll go into the kitchen, Liz's kitchen, and she has a TV, and I'll sit on the stairs and I'll knit or embroider, and I'll watch that movie and drink iced tea. And it's like, thank you, Liz.
I like it. I like it.
Don't. So.
Okay. Laura Worrell jumps in. She says, number 1, Miracle. Number 2, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. All right, with Leonardo DiCaprio. The Peanut Butter Falcon. God, I have not seen that movie yet, and I keep thinking it's a movie I have to see. So, yeah.
I've never seen it.
Well, and Lori told me about it as well, and it looks really good. It looks great. Did Shia LaBeouf direct that? I think he's in it. And I usually am fearful of him because I think he's kind of a weirdo and kind of a nut. But apparently this is a really great movie. I know, Laura, you've mentioned that before. So she says it is so good. I don't doubt it. Yes, Heidi, I would agree. Tom Hanks is outstanding. So well done. All right. The next question you had for me, that was my top 5.
And again, folks,
go for it.
Okay, what book has had the most influence on you?
That's a tough one. There's 2 books that I've probably read a bazillion times. The first is The Hobbit, I read that when I was around 11. And I would say that was the book that made me an outdoor girl. But I've also read that book many times as an adult. And I think, it's a great story. But one of the, Bilbo, the main character in the book, it really is a book about what you have to do to step out of your comfort zone and try new things, do something adventurous, but also he has to make some really difficult choices in that book in terms of his own integrity. And that's one of the reasons I like that book, is that there's many lessons in that book, and that has stayed with me. The other one is a book that I've read more recently, and that's The Boys in the Boat, which is the story of the 1936 Olympic 8-man rowing team. And that story is, again, really a story about overcoming hardships. And I think if people were to read that story and what those young men and women, because there's females in this story as well, that you learn about what they overcame in order to just live and what they worked for. It really makes what we are doing and living and how we live now. It's almost embarrassing how adverse we are to adversity, how we have, how we, yeah, it really is. Anyway, I love that book, and I think it's really good. And there are many lessons in that book as well. It also, I think, is really interesting because it's a story that you follow this rowing crew from the University of Washington, and at the same time, you learn what's happening in Germany with the Nazis as they prepare for the Berlin Olympics. And it's almost eerie when you see what's happening with the things in those books and the press, and you see what's happening with the press now and how it's a little terrifying, to be honest with you. So anyway, those are the two books.
And what was it? It was the 8 Men in a Boat?
Yeah, it's called The Boys in the Boat.
The Boys in the Boat. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's cool. It's a great book. Really great book. Okay. So those would probably be the two.
Okay. So if you're watching us and you want to mention your favorite book, the one that's had the most influence on you, please do. Jenny, here's a lighter question. Chocolate or candy? Why?
All right. This is tough because I do love my Skittles. Love them. However, and this is, thanks Professor Annie Hannon for pointing this out to me when I took your economic botany class at Eastern Michigan University way back in the day, is that I actually do prefer chocolate because I love it. Everything about chocolate is amazing. But I also find that physiologically, I don't crave candy when it's candy time. I crave chocolate. And it's because I want those chemicals that chocolate provides that make you happy. So yeah, chocolate because it's delicious, and on a physiological level, it's making me happy. Thanks, chocolate. You're amazing. Yeah. I don't seek out. There are days where I would literally just go hunting for chocolate if I don't have any of my own. That tells you something. I'm addicted.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand. All right. Favorite national park or monument that you have visited?
Well, I think that Glacier National Park is probably the most beautiful, but my favorite to visit is definitely Isle Royale. There's something about the process of having to get there. That's half the fun, is getting to that location, because you have to take a ferry ride to get there. I've been to both the Windingo side and the Rock Harbor side, and it's awesome. And what's nice is that there's something for everybody. It's not super populated. It's one of the least visited national parks in the United States. And I just really love it because if you're somebody that likes to kayak or you like to backpack, then Isle Royale is for you. If you need something that's a little less strenuous, you can go to the Rock Harbor side and stay at the lodge or stay at the cabins and do little day hikes off of there, which is amazing. And those cabins are really great because you can bring your own food. You've got a great big picture window in those cabins, so you can watch the pileated woodpeckers working on a log in front of your window. It's awesome. So, all right, Lane. Lane, how are you, dude? Lane was a student of mine at Constantine High School. Great to hear from you. Well done. I would agree. Of Mice and Men it's a classic and heartbreaking book. Really good.
Yeah.
Thanks for
I was
sharing
gonna say
that.
It's a beautiful story. It's a very beautiful. Such a it's like I remember reading it. It was like it's such a short book, but it just does it gut punch.
It is absolute gut punch. That's one of those where you're like, why did I can't remember which teacher or professor made me read that book because I don't think I would have read it on my own, but I was glad. It was one of those I was really glad to have read it afterwards. Mm-hmm. Cool. Becky, what's up? Becky Ortega, chocolate for sure. Yes. And you know this about me, Becky, because when I go in to Be Well Nutrition and I get my protein shake, we know what I almost always get, which is something chocolate. I can't help myself. So it's because chocolate's delicious. Excellent. All right. All right. Is that my last question?
You have one more question.
There it is.
What event in your life would you wish you could do a do-over?
This was a really hard question as well. And I wondered how to answer this. I'm like, how honest do I want to be? And so, okay. I decided to be pretty honest, is that I think when I finished, we went on the education tour together. And then I had a year where I worked at like Builder Square working in the paint department. And then I was trying to make some decisions for myself. And so I was thinking, do I go back to become a teacher? Or one of the things I was actually really thinking about was joining the Air Force, start officers training in the Air Force in hopes of becoming an Air Force meteorologist. And I sometimes regret not doing that. I think, not that I don't think I'm a good, I do think I'm a good teacher. And I do think my talents and my suits me well for that. But sometimes I wonder what would it have been like for me had I taken that path. And sometimes I think maybe I shortchanged myself by not trying that. So there you go.
Well, Jenny, I can only say that all of the students that you have taught would be sorry for lack of you, so that you might feel personally that maybe that was something that you would shortchange yourself. But there are literally thousands of students in America who didn't get shortchanged because you were a teacher. And you know me, I'm not big on compliments.
I appreciate that, Ann Brothers. I appreciate that.
So maybe you feel you shorted yourself, but you made a good choice you made the world a little bit better. And I don't know if that would have happened if you would have been, an Air Force geologist.
Meteorologist. Yeah.
Either way. Tomato.
Very good. So anyway, that's, I just have questions. I just wonder. So Lori, thank you. Lori is one of my teaching partners. So thanks, Lori. I appreciate that. Lori and I got to hang out this weekend. It was fun.
Nice.
We had, and frankly, I still find myself thinking about that brie pizza, Lori. That pizza was amazing. It was pizza with brie cheese on it. Gord, it was good. So
you told me about that. I'm thinking about it too, and I didn't even have it. And I'm like, oh, Jenny had brie pizza. Pizza.
Brie with bacon jam on it. Bacon jam. I don't know. I didn't even know. So Heidi, thank you. Right on. Heidi's agreeing with Ann. That's way cool. Becky had something to say about that chocolate therapy. So a little chocolate therapy, that's one I almost always get when I go into Be Well. Chocolate therapy or the chocolate caramel cheesecake protein shake, also super yummy. So there you go. Heidi said, Ann, your calling was to be an actress. So there.
I appreciate that. I have very good timing, but I know people who are great actors, and I don't have the discipline to do it. I have to admit that I'm more one of those like, all right, you need me to do something, but to actually develop that character and really do that. I know people that do that, and I'm always so impressed with them. And I'm not very good at that part. I can run my mouth. I can be in front of people. I can be funny.
You're an entertainer.
Exactly. But as for being a good actor, I just, I was lazy. I was always a lazy actor. So having known good ones, I was a lazy one.
I'm not going to agree with you on that, because I have seen you give some outstanding performances that took a ton of work. So you are shortchanging yourself. So just so you know, okay. And Lori says, Ann, if you come out, we'll go to the tavern and we will get you a rosemary pear mule. Oh my God, they're so good. It's a mule, but they use pear vodka, and they put like essence of rosemary in it. Ermagerd, it's really good.
Wow.
So,
it sounds.
Yes. So anyway, Heidi's just telling you that you were awesome in drama class in high school. So I would agree.
Thank you.
I would agree.
Thank you.
All right, Ann Brothers, let's tackle your questions now, shall we?
Let's do it.
For Ann. All right. Okay, we were talking about Stephen King earlier, and I brought that up with the Shawshank Redemption novella and movie. So my question for you is, because Stephen King has written a bunch of stuff, what is the best Stephen King book, and why do you think that? And again, folks, too, if you can be thinking about this yourselves out there, be prepared to answer this after Ann is done. Go.
Well, I do love Stephen King books. I'm seldom disappointed. My favorite one, which I go back to all the time in my head, is Dolores Claiborne, which he wrote in the 90s. And I have to admit, I'm tired of the abuse of women and children being used as entertainment. But this book is he's very good at writing female characters, which most men are not. So the women are spectacular, and it's just what this one woman does in order to protect herself and her children And unfortunately, even in this time and place, we can't count on outside forces to help women when they're being exploited. So
Agreed.
this is a, if you want a really good story with excellent characters and what, you know, what they did, what she did to keep herself and her children safe, then it's a great story, and it makes you think that, and it makes you realize we haven't come that far.
No.
Which also made me start thinking today, it's like, why wouldn't we, I don't want to say defund the police, but why wouldn't we reallocate police funding? Because if you're a woman, and especially if you're a woman of color or a transgender woman, then the police don't work for you either. I mean, how many times are women assaulted and not taken seriously, or if they are even get the, you know, taken a little seriously, there's no justice for them. So that's what it made me, you know, I thought about that. If basically she finds in this book, she finds her own justice and how she has to deal with that. So, and my argument is, even though this story took place in the 60s, have we come that far? And so that's why I like that book so much, is because I read it 20 years ago and I still come back to it all the time.
And I think, I'm rereading it right now. And I think it's even more interesting because the first time I read it, I was probably 22, 23 years old. Mm-hmm. And, you know, rereading it again as I'm pushing 50, it's an even better story, especially the relationship between her and Vera Donovan, her employer, even better. So yeah, I would agree that that's a really good one. And like a lot of Stephen King books, again, it's not, you know, we look at him as being a horror writer and that these supernatural things, if you read Stephen King, the worst monsters are always humans, always in his books, always. Mm-hmm. And that's no different in this story for sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Question 2. Who's your favorite teacher and why?
Well, I have 3. I have Mrs. Howell, who was my 2nd and 6th grade teacher. And I really, she was one of my favorites in elementary and junior high because I couldn't read until I was in 5th grade. And she caught that I couldn't read when I was in 2nd grade. She figured it out that everybody, my other teachers just thought I was lazy, but she figured out that I was not reading and I couldn't. And then in 6th grade, because special ed in the 70s was
especially at a Catholic school,
was very different than it is now. So by the time I finished 5th grade, any special education I was getting was done. So I had her in 6th grade, and she helped me through 6th grade, so that by the time I was in 7th grade and I was reading at grade level, she had that was a bridge. She knew where I was, and she helped to bridge me into the 7th grade. Next is Mrs. Arend, who is my English teacher. She was my sophomore English teacher and my advanced comp English teacher. And she helped give me the confidence to become a better writer, because if you don't, I might have learned how to read by the time I was in 7th grade, but man, did I not know how to write. So she really helped me with that, so that when I went to college, that I could write, and that was, I owe that all to her. I'm not the best, but I was at least at grade level, and I could get myself through. And then Mrs. Brand was my drama teacher in high school, and she was funny, and she treated us like, not just like students, and she helped me get a scholarship that got me into Eastern, because otherwise I would have a spiral perm. I would weigh 300 pounds. I'd be an unemployed cashier from Miller's grocery store and divorced from Arthur Williams. So So yes, so those are the 3 teachers that I had that the most, not just influenced, and then of course, because of their help, it helped with my self-esteem. They helped me see myself as more than just, some kid who couldn't read from a small town in, St. Joseph County, Michigan. So.
Cool.
And it took three teachers to do that, not just one. It took three.
I figured those would be your picks. I was thinking about, I'm like, I'm going to guess. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. And now if you guys too, if you want to chime in with your favorite teachers growing up, feel free. We'd love to hear from you for sure. In the meantime, is there a saying or cliche that you are particularly fond of?
I often say easy peasy lemon squeezy. Or if I'm feeling kind of like a little, like 2 tears in a bucket, fuck it. If I'm just kind of like, kind of at my wit's end, and I'm just like, you know what, screw all of this, screw all of you. So those are the 2 I probably use the most.
Nice. And again, if you have a favorite teacher, if you have a favorite cliche, we would love to hear it. If you got a second, you want to type that in, that'd be fantastic. All right, next question. If you could go back in time, is there a particular period or event that you would visit? Oh, I typo. This is visity. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I would probably go back to, there's 2 different times I would go back to. I'd probably go back to the gay 90s in Paris, so the 1890s, and see the Impressionists, find out where they were, and then I'd probably go to, again, Paris in the 1930s.
That's awesome.
So both times were, both times were a time when there was a lot of art and a lot that was changing in the world. So those are the 2 times I'd probably go to. The thing is, it's not great for women. This is like the best time in history to be a woman, like after the birth control pill was invented. Other than that, it was a pretty lousy time. All times were pretty lousy to be a woman until, finally could get a little control and not have to have a bunch of babies. And there was more laws to protect you. Like, you didn't have to have a husband co-sign a loan for you, that sort of thing. So honestly, if you're going to be a woman in the West, this is probably the best time to be a woman. So I might go back to those other times, but I want a lot of money.
I would agree. It's better to be rich. Just better to be rich.
Exactly.
All right. This is your final question, Ann Brothers. Who would you want to play you in a movie about your life?
Lena Dunham.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
She's awesome. One, she's funny as hell. She is awesome. I love her whole how she behaves with her body. I'm like, she's one of my heroes. I'm like, when I see her, I'm like, that's what I want to see in women. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see polite girls worried about, how they look. I want to see women who are like, screw this. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is my body. My body works for me. I don't, and I think she's awesome. And I don't know, maybe she's too good to play me personally, but
don't ever say that. That's not true. Don't ever say that.
That's not true.
You're the best, Ann Brothers.
But Tina Fey would be a close second, of course. Right. But Lena Dunham, and then Amy Schumer would be a close third. But I think every time I see Lena Dunham, I watch the whole series Girls. I'm like, God, I love her. She's so freaking brave and amazing and funny. And I'm like, ugh, I want her to run for office.
Okay, good. Well done, Ann Brothers.
Thanks. You too, Jenny Brothers.
You answered those. You made those questions your biatch. Yeah. All right. So I think we've covered all of the comments for now. Lisa, real quick, I went ahead and threw this in the comments. The book that we were talking about was Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. One of the cool things about that book as well is that it's written entirely in first person. It's essentially Dolores Claiborne telling her story. It's a really good book. Highly recommend it. The audiobook version of it is very good as well. So just so you know that too.
Also, another thing about this too is that you seldom find books by men written about women who are of a specific age. They're usually about young women. And she is not, she's telling her story from, a middle-aged perspective.
Yep, she's 67 in the story.
67. Yeah, So that's another thing I like about it is that you seldom hear that voice from male authors. And Stephen King is very good at writing female characters.
Yes, it's true. Lisa, you're welcome. Very good. All right, so I think that's it for today. Again, thank you very much, you guys. We had a lot of cool responses today. Thanks for joining us for our 10 Question Tuesday. Tomorrow, you guys, we will be coming back at you live, and we have a super special guest. We will have Joe Peters and his ukulele, and we will be doing a segment from him called "I Think I'm Gonna Uke." And we're gonna make that sort of a regular segment. Joe's a very talented ukulele player, and so we're gonna ask him a bunch of questions tomorrow. And like I said, he'll be a regular guest in the coming weeks. He's kind of a working dude right now, so we have to be able to catch him on his day off. So, Lori, thank you very much. You are wonderful as well. I hope everything is going okay with you. So, real quick, happy birthday to Tracy Larson. Happy 50th birthday today. You're amazing. Thank you for the bars. I know. I think I have diabetes now, though, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Eventually. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow for the amazing Joe Peters. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.